Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you in advance for those who will listen to this tomorrow. As all of you know, that we are working on a series of lectures, and this is part 33, which began at the beginning of this year. And inshallah, we will finish this series. It looks like, not planned, but looks like it's going to be 40 parts. May He, the one who is above all else, accept all our hardship and ilmi journey, inshallah. Part 33, Parables and Allegories. Unveiling the Bāținī tawilat of various parables of the wise Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 3 ayat with 3 questions, and within those 3 questions, we would have one final understanding. These 3 ayat, you will find a key word, and that word is Imam. Imam is a generic word, just like Mu'min is a generic word. Imam, guide, Peshwa. Imam as a teacher, Imam as a master, Imam as a wali, Imam as a friend. Very generic word. Anyone who leads generically can be called Imam. Even though in the Quran, Imam is a very particular term, but even then, out of the 12 places where you have found Imam as a guide appointed by, selected by, chosen by, with the Amare Ilahi, you will find a reference or two where Allah used the word Imam, Imam of the Kafirun, guide, Peshwa of the hypocrites. Even in that, for those who are the reader, the true readers of the Quran, the one with the eyes to see, will see that even in the negative ayat, there is a lesson, there is a guidance. And if there is a guidance, then the word Imam is a particular term. Since I did mention Mu'min, Mu'min is also a very generic term. those who are righteous, not necessarily spiritual or believers, but righteous, good people, can be called Momin or Mominun. Momin can be male or female. Momin can be a child or an elder. Matter of fact, the word Momin have been used for Allah Himself. Momin word is used for Amirul Mominin Ali Murtaza. Momin word is used for the Nabi'in. And of course, Momin is used for Garib and Nachis like us as well. Very generic term. But at the same time, you will find not one but the many references where Mominin word is used in very particular way, a particular term. Because Momin and Imam, those two terms goes together. A Peshwa, a Hadi, and those who follow the Peshwa and follow the guidance of the Peshwa. The term Momin becomes particular when this righteous follow the righteous Imam and the righteous guidance. Otherwise, Imam can be Imam-e-Kafirun. Then one cannot say those who follow, those are Mu'min. And on the other side, those Mu'minin cannot say they are Imam-e-Barhaq. Very particular terms. Imam, Imam-e-Barhaq. Mu'min, Mu'min-e-Muttaqin. Very particular terms. Let's come back to our subject of the day. Out of the 12 places, we have chose 3 ayat. First one, Imamul Nas. Second one, Imamul Muttaqin. Third one, Imam of all time. And other, I will leave that up to you to do your personal search and find total of 12 references of Imam in the Quran, and be careful, there is 1 or 2 in negative sense and rest in the positive sense. Imamul Nas, Surah 2, Ayat 124. Indeed, I will make you an Imam for the people. The word Nas in the Quran is for the common and generic, meaning for all of them, regardless of they are believers or not, regardless of they are righteous or not, and regardless they are Mu'min or not. Allah, with His utmost mercy, have sent an Imam for all. for all. Another tawil sitting in this word for the people, because it does not tell us people of yesterday, people of tomorrow, or people of today. That wisdomful word, allegorical word, tells us that Imamul Nas, is Imam of all time and for all the people. If this was not true, and Allah has sent Imam one time and not the other, then we would have caution, a concern regarding Allah's mercy, rahmat, for all of the humanity. Because He is Rahman and Rahim, most merciful for the humanity, He have arranged for an Imam, a guide and Peshwa for all people of all time. Then it is up to the people to look for that guide and be guided. Two things. To look for that guide, because a lot of people look for the guide and then don't do anything about it. And be guided. That is left up to the Nas, humankind, people. Then comes Surah 25, ayat 74. Imamul Muttaqeen, Imam of the purified one, Imam of the righteous. What is the function of this Imam? And second question, is this Imam is same as one mentioned above? Or are we talking about two different Imam? Imamul Muttaqeen. Imam who in himself, and that's an important point to remember, because you are about to answer your own question. Imamul Muttaqeen, he in himself is most purified. So much purification that no others would be more purified than them. Surah 33, ayat 33. Ayah purification. Ayah tathir. Most purified. Back to that question. Are we talking about one Imam or multiple Imam? Imamul Nas and Imamul Muttaqeen are one and the same, or are we talking about two different Imam? One for the common and generic, and one for the righteous. Imamul Nas, the Imam of the all people and all the time, remains to be Imamul Nas until the Mu'mineen recognize him, find the Peshwa guide, and follow his guidance, At that point, in the eyes of the mu'min, the connection between the mu'min and the imam becomes imamul muttaqin, for the righteous. And what were two conditions? To recognize him, and not only just recognize him, but to be guided by him. Now, this special relationship between the imam and mu'min makes that imam imamul muttaqin and the mu'min the righteous mu'min. Just a very small physical example. A child gets lost somewhere in the crowded city. He runs into this man and he feels that there is a connection between me and this man. This man is very kind to this child. He takes him under his wing and tells him, don't cry. Don't cry. We, inshallah, one day will find your father. Until then, think of me as your father, as your guide. And I will see over you and I will protect you. That is the example of Imamul Nas. That they realize that there is a one who is kind and merciful on them. But that's about it. But when this child follow the kind man, follow on his footstep, follow on his footstep, and follow on his footstep. Much later on, he realized that father that I was looking for is actually no one other than this man himself. Just like that, a human realized one day that it is he who guides. It is he who is most merciful. It is he who was there to protect him and keep him under his wing. And then all of a sudden he realized that he was there for him from the beginning. And he was there, appointed, chosen, selected with the Amr Ilahi, there to guide him. To guide him. And he is his true father, his Imam. Now with that realization, the relationship turns to a new point, a new heights. I hope you are understanding what we are talking about. From that point onward, the relationship turns a point or a height. Here, the same Imam becomes Imamul Muttaqeen for him. Through him, now he is getting purification. As he is Muttaqeen, by his touch, his ilm, his guidance, his amr, this mu'min is becoming righteous, a muttaqeen. And there he realized that he was the father that he has been looking for his entire life. And sometime, even after knowing him, the comprehension and realization, in other words, recognition was not there. And therefore, he was not able to recognize him as his true Imam Barhaq. Let's turn the page and come to Imam of all time and every time. That is Surah 17, 71. There will remain people who will not recognize or realize the true Imam until that day, the day of judgment, when they will be called forth, every single human people with their respected Imam. And if you want to picture that with me for a second, they or all of us will go, ah, I had heard of him. Oh, I knew him. Oh, I failed to recognize him. Oh, I realized who he was and just never follow through. On the day, we will be with a certainty called forth. Every people, every one of us, with our respected Imam. But remember, on that day, let's say there will be three kinds of people. One, who never realized. Second, who realized and then left him. And the third, who realized, recognized, and then followed him. And then whoever is given his record, book of deed in his right hand, those will read their deeds. They are the one who realized, recognized, and then stay intact and followed the Imam Barhaq. So they will be given their book of deed in their right hand. And they will read this happily, happily. And no injustice will be done. Among those three, there will be no injustice. Those who did not realize will take the burden of that. Those who realize and then left him, they will take the burden of themselves. And at the end, those who realize and recognize and stayed with him, they will take the book of deed justly in their right hand, and none will have thread or equal to that of injustice. They will receive exactly what they deserved. This is same as saying, this ayat is same as saying that Imam of all time, Imam of all people. If you have Qur'anic Sharif in your hand, and if you are true lover of the Quran, open up your Quran and go to Surah Baqarah 124 and write down CR cross reference 1771. Then flip your Quran to Surah 17, Ayat 71 and write down CR cross reference to 124. And then underline the word every people on both of the ayat. On both of the ayat. For all time and all people. If Imam is for all time and all the people, now the question comes, how do we, in one time or the other, from the time of Adam to the time of Qiyamah, would recognize this Imam? Quran is our guide. Quran will tell you who is Imamul Nas, who is Imamul Muttaqeen, and who is the Imam for every time. There are 12 direct or indirect reference of Imam, 49 direct or indirect reference of Nur, unlimited references of word Hadi, and don't forget, wherever Allah refers to He, them, we, us, are the references of your Imam of your time, with which you will be called upon on the day of your Qiyamah. We have few great references from the Arif of our time. A righteous Imam for mankind, from Adam till Qiyamah. The first reference comes from the Wise Quran, the book Wise Quran and World of Humanity, written by Allama Sahib. He writes, from the wisdom-filled and blessed verse, Surah 2, Ayat 124, it is clear that God had made Hazrat Ibrahim the Imam of all people by saying, I'm going to appoint you an Imam for the humankind. The exalted Imam is the inheritor of Adam, Warise Adam, the Imam of mankind. Imamul Nas, the Imamul Nas, period. Imam of the righteous, Imamul Muttaqeen, the guide and the Lord of the spiritual resurrection. The above statement is wholly based on Quranic wisdom. As such, it provides absolute satisfaction, qalb salim, and total understanding. Second reference regarding the 1771. As remember, these two ayat combinedly are cross-reference to each other. Allama Sahib writes in his book, Thousand Wisdom. The day when we will be summoned, every people with their Imam, reflect carefully on this verse. Can some people be exempted from the universal principle of every people? No, never. Thus, the chain of Imamat continues from the time of the beginning, Adam, till the time of the end, Qiyamah, or resurrection. In one place, these two ayat present a wisdomful guidance to the reader of the Quran, the Muslimin. On the other hand, it's a promise of Allah to the human. Promise of Allah to the righteous. And the promise of Allah to the chosen one. That not only I have made you an Imam for the mankind, you will continue to guide with my Amr in all time and all the people. That's the promise of Allah to the mankind, to the righteous, and to the chosen ones, the Imam-e Tahireen. Another reference comes from the book, the famous book, The Recognition of Imam by Allama Sahib. A must-read book for those who like to read and understand the Imam from the Quran and all of his new references in the Quran. This book will play a book of encyclopedia for those who are researching for the Imam and his light in this physical world. Sahib's right in this book. In the Imam Shanasi books, referring to the saying of the Holy Prophet and the pure Imams, the Imami books, referring to the saying of the Holy Prophet and the pure Imams, it is mentioned that by the man on the Araf, on the high wall in the verse, and on the Araf heights are men who recognize them all by their foreheads. The Quranic reference, Surah Araf, Surah 7, Ayat 46, are meant the men who are on the highest of Marifat. This wall of Marifat height is not a tall wall, but the highest place of Marifat. That is the recognition of Allah. And they are Hazrat Maulana Murtaza Ali and the legatee, namely the holy Imams from his descendant, Ale Nabi Aulade Ali. Please also see, for your understanding, Daimul Islam, Part 1, page 25. Second understanding, since it is a Quranic fact that on the day of judgment, the Imam of each respective time will recognize all those who used to recognize him in the world by the light on their faces. It is evident that this divine law of providing the means of his highest mercy, guidance, intercession, and salvation, that is, the presence of the Imam amongst the people of the world, is ordained not only for the cycle of the last holy prophet, but equally for the cycle of all prophets, from the time of Adam to the time of Qiyamah. This leads to the conclusion that the Imam of the time is always and always present and living amongst the people of every time, inshallah, as confirmed and corroborated in the following verse. On the day we shall call all people with their Imam, 1771. This means that on the day of reckoning, without the Imam of the time, no witness, justice, intercession, salvation is possible for the people. He will be your wali. He will be your wakil. He will be your mola, and he will be your helper. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, wa ni'mal mola, wa ni'mal nasir. The Imam of the time is always present and living amongst the people of every time, so they may be your witness, your friend, your wakil, lawyer, or representative, and your friend, your master. Thus, it becomes evident that from the beginning of the world to the time of Hazrat Adam, and from Hazrat Adam to the seal of Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and from the seal of Prophet till the day of the reckoning, the day of the Qiyamah, the holy chain of Imamat will continue. With respect to the above mentioned verse, that is 1771, it is also correct to say that on the day of the Qiyamah, resurrection, God will call people through and with the Imam of the time, for the Imams of the guidance are the intermediaries and the means between God and the people. This shows that every act of God related to the command and the guidance, and every task related to the people's obedience of the God and his pleasure is accomplished only and only through the custodian of the command, the Sahibe Amar, the Imam Zaman. Friends, I hope this one lesson that reflect lesson number 33. And if you like to be amongst the purified one. That is Quranic reference 33:33. Follow the Al-Abad. Follow the Al-Abad amongst you. Find, realize, and recognize, and be guided by the Al-Abad, the Imam Zaman. Both Nawazish, thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for listening.